Switch chat room, take one.
Do you tend to have high expectations for yourself and others?
I do. I have high expectations for myself and others.
Really depends, but usually I have higher expectations for myself than others, I think.
I would say I definitely have a way higher expectation for myself than I do any other person.
I tend to have high expectations for myself, but not others.
I definitely set a higher expectation for myself because growing up, my parents expected me to get straight A's and do my best at whatever I was doing. So I definitely expect that for myself. And as for others, I feel like I compare myself to others, so I automatically think that everyone is better than me.
Mine's the complete opposite. I feel like my parents didn't have an expectation for me, and so I feel like I set such a high one because there was no one to make sure that I was a good person. So I felt like I set really high ones for me because I didn't even know where the line could be, set them.
I set my standards higher, so then if I fall short, I don't look bad necessarily. So
I set a lot of standards for myself, and I set a lot of standards even for people around me because I've been hurt by a lot of people. So it feels like sometimes I set too many expectations for other people. I already set a lot for myself, but those kind of come out and reflect on how I view other people too.
Do you think that having expectations is a good thing or a bad thing?
I feel like it depends. I feel like there's a line, a fine line to it being toxic and then it being okay for reflection and stuff. But I feel like it can get bad.
Whatever role you have in my life, I do have different expectations for you. And if they're not met, it might lead to a difficult conversation I might have to have.
I think it's a good thing to a point, but if you pass that point, it starts becoming unhealthy. So I think it's important to not go beyond that.
There comes a time even when we should set expectations for ourselves in not a way where we need to be good for other people, but in the way that the Bible teaches us. And whenever we fall short of those expectations God has for us, He's going to save us with His grace, but we should try to better ourselves.
Do you feel pressure to meet people's expectations?
Yeah, 1,000%. Definitely, even just my parents' expectations, I not only want to meet them, but exceed them, and that goes with anyone. If I do a good job at something, I'm going to try to do even better than that the next time I do it, and I feel like that can either stress me out or it can make me do my best.
I don't know, I don't want to fall short of people's expectations just because I don't want them to think less of me. And I know we're not here to please people, but you don't want to let people down at the same time.
Same with me. I kind of grew up not hanging around the best people, and they did have high expectations of me. So that kind of just reflects on me today, and I just worry all the time about what other people think of me just because I don't want to make people disappointed.
When is a time that someone in your life did not meet your expectations?
For me, I've definitely had some relationships where trust has been lost, and so for me, it definitely was hard because I had to either gain that trust back or just start from the very top with somebody else, and it's hard to go into that thinking that they won't do the same thing again.
At the top of my head, I can think when I first started getting involved with Switch and church, I held such a high expectation to leaders and pastors and friends that I knew were committed to Christ. I guess I forgot that they're also human and they're not perfect.
I guess looking back on my life, whenever I lived with my biological parents, I saw that they had no standards really because they had their parental rights taken away. But looking back, it's hard to think about, but I have to remember that they are people, and sometimes people mess up more than others.
I remember I used to have a friend who was really there for me and was a strong Christian, and it hurt a lot because she was very these are the things it says in the Bible, and if you don't follow them, then I don't want to be around you. And I worked so hard for most of my life in middle school just trying to meet those expectations. I never met them, and it really hurt, and it definitely took a long time to get over that.
And I feel like with that, like even just the thought of having any expectations on them, it can really scare people away from church. Just walking through the door, people might think they have to meet expectations, but Jesus says, come as you are. So that's what we should do.
Do you think you have expectations that you place on God?
Oh, yeah. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, if you don't do this, blah, 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 and we should never go to God in that way. And so just remembering that, you know, he's going to be there no matter what is definitely hard. And I feel like we can get discouraged or let down when something doesn't go our way.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like whenever you pray to God about things, you want something specific to happen. You pray that that will happen. It's disappointing whenever it doesn't. But we also have to remember that we don't have a full picture. Maybe we have a small, chunk of that. But we have to trust that he knows what he's doing. Yeah. And we have to put our faith in his plan.
What do you think are the right kind of expectations to have for God?
I mean, always we can fall back on the expectation he's going to forgive us. Personally, for me, it's hard to remember that. And especially whenever I see all the evil in the world and what some people have done, it's so crazy to remember that he's going to forgive. But that is the expectation we know that he's going to meet every single time.
And I feel like that can also be a dangerous one because some people might take that out of pocket and do things because they know they will be forgiven.
I think a good expectation to have for God is to just, even when things don't go the way we want it to go, we still trust that he knows what he's doing.
What's something you learned from this conversation?
I definitely learned that I'm not alone when I feel that way. Even getting frustrated at God, like with what he's doing with my life, like I know that you guys feel that also, and I think that's very helpful.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one that has like a super high expectation on myself or like a people pleaser.
It's okay to have even expectations from God, and it's okay to come with him and to others whenever those expectations are met. Definitely something I took away from this.
What expectations do you need to let go of?
I need to let go of the expectation that everyone's going to break my trust.
I grew up experiencing love one way, and I think I need to let go of the expectation that that is the only way.
I need to let go of the expectation that people will be perfect.
I need to let go of the expectations that everyone in leadership is perfect.